when in the Great Depression, every time I turn this camera on, I get a loud noise. I don't know, somebody somewhere doesn't like me, or I mean, every time I turn this camera on. Anyway, President Roosevelt in the Great Depression created that work program, and my grandpa was working it. You know, he's born in 1913, so do the math. Well, how old was he? Too early for me to do the math. 23, been what, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there. 2021. Anyway, he was working on that work program that President Roosevelt created. My grandpa had to go use the restroom. He had to, you know, he had to urinate. He had to go to number 1 real bad. So he goes out into the woods, you know, to hide himself. He goes out into the woods. He's there doing his business, you know, typical, 30 seconds. As he's going, as he finishes, I think it's to his right, he sees something rise. He looks over, and it's a 9-foot grizzly bear. He told us one time, he said, he ran out of there so fast you could have played a game of checkers on his shirt tail. Oh God, he said it scared the daylights out of him. One time, me and my cousin Cliff was with my grandpa, and we went into the basement, and you know, it was a little cloudy out, but it didn't, you know, it wasn't no rain or nothing. Anyway, we go to the basement, and my grandpa's cold and hot water copper lines was ran under the floor, and in the basement you could see them, and they was sweating. Yeah, these I can't think it was the cold water line. Anyway, he was sweating, and my grandpa, being wise, said, "See, there's getting ready to rain. See the copper pipe sweating?" And about 35-40 minutes later, it come a heavy rain. I don't know if everybody's supposed to know that, or that's common sense, or that just takes it from years of living. But my grandpa, you know, my grandpa had a 3rd grade education, going on genius. And to be honest about it, if I would forget about the math part, my grandpa probably was smarter than Einstein. Mechanically, he was a genius. Just wow. That's where my Uncle Pete comes in. My Uncle Pete, he got hurt in the mines, and he was an electrician. And he's highly intelligent. And in the mines, when you cuss somebody, it ain't because you're being mean to them, it's because their life is in danger. And if I tell the story right, the part of the roof of the mines was caving in. And when you get some parts of that roof, you know, it's 100 ton, 30 ton, 40 ton. Anyway, he could crush, you know, those heavy equipment. They got them metal roofs. That's only as a precaution. They can crush them down. You can be killed, break your neck. Anyway, this guy was running the heavy equipment, and part of the roof started caving in. Part of it fell, but he didn't hear it. Okay. And my Uncle Pete yelled at him, called his name. You know, get out here. You know, get out of this room, because the mine ceiling's caving in, and the guy didn't hear him. And he's screaming at him, you know, get out, get off that thing. You're gonna be killed. Because you know, above him was you could hear it. It wasn't falling in. That's right. It was cracking. You could hear it cracking real bad. And my Uncle Pete knew it's caving in, or a big chances on cave in, and he couldn't take a chance of risking his life to go save the guy. And so quick thinking. The only thing he knows to do is cuss him. So he calls him, you know, SO. And that caught his attention, and the guy came running. But he said in the mines, he says, to save a guy's life, cuss him, because when you cuss him in the mines, it ain't mean because you're mean to him, because something's bad going wrong. In other words, they're trying to get your brain's attention, trying to wake you up. But as soon as my Uncle Pete cussed him, he paid. It's amazing how the mind works. I always think my Uncle Pete would have made a great psychiatrist. I really do. Anyway, when he cussed him, God, you know, got his attention. Come on, and you know, when you cuss somebody in there, you don't have to wave them on. When you cuss them down there in the mines, they know to get to safety. But you put my Uncle Clifton, Uncle Junior, and Pete into a room, am I missing anybody? And they could make a rocket to go to Mars. They wouldn't need NASA. Nope. You know, telling these family stories, it ain't gonna be all about my grandpa. I'm gonna have more about my grandpa, but I want to switch gears a little bit. Now, I'll go back to my grandpa in this video, but I want to switch gears a little bit here. I think this is my 5th video on my family stories. How was I raised? In other words, what was my dad's rule or rules? Mainly rule. Here's the way my dad was. Don't never start enough, like in school, never start a fight. If anybody picks on you, you better defend yourself. I'm quoting him. If you don't defend yourself, I'm quoting my dad. If you don't defend yourself, when you get home and I find out, you're gonna get it twice as hard. And my dad meant it. I think that's one of the reasons, that's part, not all, part of one of the reasons why I ride a bike, mountain bike, so hard. You know, I've got these loud vehicles go by me. I've got 26 years of hard riding a bike under my belt, in my legs. Now, riding a bike also strengthens your back, in case you don't know that. And of course, your cardiovascular. So, if I would ever have to, you know, of course, remember that golden rule, you know, of course, my dad would probably, I'm too old to be whipped by my dad, obviously, but he would tell me about it. If I didn't defend myself, today, he'd let me know about it. He probably would cuss me. But, you know, I've got 26 years of pretty strong legs. If anybody jumps me today, it ain't gonna be easy to take me down. 26 years of hard riding a bike. Most of that's 26 miles a day. Now, riding a bike is demanding. It's hard work. It's fun. It's sweaty. Girls don't like that sweat. You gotta bathe more often. But if I'd ever get into a fight today, never start it. It would not be easy to take me down. And I've got that in my dad's golden rules. He sort of embedded that in my mind. In other words, whatever you learn. In other words, you know, the whippings that I got growing up has made me a better person today. And, you know, that's just kind of how strict my grandpa, getting back to my grandpa, was. I never forget what my dad used to tell me when I'd get a whipping. Is either before or after he would whip me. He'd say, and I quote, "This is going to hurt you worse than it's going to hurt me." And he'd also tell me this. He would tell me, he'd say, "Greg," to me, he'd say, "Greg, you're lucky. You know what my dad used to do to me? Put whelks on his, you know, buttocks." He used to tell me this. He'd put whelks that high. And he did that to sort of comfort me, because after a whipping, you know, most kids cry. It's sweaty out here. Most kids cry. And he often told me that. He says, "You're lucky. My dad used to put whelks on me that high." And you know, Grandpa, I hate to say this, I would hated to have him as a dad, because boy, I heard he could whip you know, when my dad was young, boy, I heard he could really lay it to him. I don't know if he used a belt or what, but you know, today, you know, it's lawsuits and all this stuff. That's not, a whipping's not an abuse, the fist is. My dad never did that. He never, I give him credit for that, never did that. Oh, good corporal punishment, a whipping, it won't hurt a kid. The Bible even tells you, do not spare the rod. Oh, I'm not going to get biblical on you. But one time my grandpa, getting on another subject here, he loved to make anybody laugh, and he did it through cussing. For some reason, he thought he was funnier. To be honest about it, I think he was in a sense. But yeah, the only thing I hated about my grandpa, I shouldn't use the word hate. I really shouldn't. Greatly dislike. Cuss in front of kids. That's not right. But he did. It was just my grandpa's the way he was. One time, him and Grandma came over, and they never stayed 10 minutes. Just the way they were. And me and my sister was outside in the yard playing. We was probably 10, 11 years old. They pull in, and Grandma gets out of the car to bring us some garden vegetables. And Crapple's waiting. He ain't coming in. He finally come in. Dad yelled at him, but he's drinking a Pepsi in the can. We was watching him, and I think he did it just intentional. But he loses the grip on the Pepsi can, and all that Pepsi goes all down his front shirt. My grandpa, he could outcuss the devil. Oh, I can't tell you what he said. You know, oh, he was so angry because a little bit of soda went down his shirt. Oh, he cussed that can out. Me and my sister just laughed. You know, it wasn't right him cussing. You know, it's totally wrong. But you know, that's just the way he was. Oh, he cussed that can out. I guess what it was, he bought it ice cold. And when it went down his front shirt, it must have froze him to death. I can't remember what season it was, spring, summer, or fall. But boy, as he was drinking it, it just poured down him. He must have one of those big openings on it, because it just went, we seen it, went all over him. But oh, he cussed that can out. That Pepsi can, I never will forget that. Oh man, oh he had a loud mouth, my grandpa. Oh God, Jesus Christ. He could wake the dead. Lord.